Hi, in this video I will show you how you can connect to Kenzap Cloud API and manage your bookings without relying on the Kenzap Cloud dashboard. Alright, so what we are going to do is we are going to modify some data by first getting this data from the cloud and then updating this data and writing it back to the cloud so that you can manipulate your data and work with your data that is stored in the cloud without relying on any dashboard, on any interface that we are providing for you. Okay, let's begin. I go to my Kenzap Cloud dashboard, and here I need to add Access API Keys extension. I click on Manage Link, and here in the Options drop-down element, and click on Add API Key. Here I select Backend, Read and Write, and for Isolated, it's really important here, I click No. Here I'm creating my API key that I can use for Kenzap Cloud API queries. Okay, let's start structuring our query. I open the Postman application. You can use any software here, it's just a matter of preference. I'm clicking on Add a Request, and here I type the name for my query, which is find bookings. I think it's fine, right? So just type find bookings here. Now I need to add additional information, and you might be wondering where to get it from. So you can go to developer.kenzap.cloud to explore all the possible options and features of the Kenzap Cloud API. Here, what we need to find is the URL that we need to send our request to. In our case, it's API kenzap.cloud. Here I'm selecting post and typing Kenzap Cloud API URL. For authorization tab, I'm clicking on bearer token, and here I need to copy the token from the Access API dashboard that we were just creating together. So I go back here, I copy this token key and paste it here. Okay, now I switch to the body tab, and here I can actually structure my query. Okay, let's go back to developer.kenzap.cloud API documentation and find our find command. So here are all of the possible parameters that you can use in the query. I simply copy everything that you can see here that is provided as an example and paste into the body tab. Before I can do this, I need to enable the row option, and for text, it has to be switched to JSON. So I'm copying all this data, and now I need to get rid of some parameters that I will not be using. The offset is something that we don't need at this stage. Limit, I would say set to 5, so just want to get first 5 queries from this API. Sum and count we're not using this time, including all these parameters. In the fields key, we need to specify the keys that we would like to retrieve. However, to simplify this example, I will simply put the asterisk, which indicates the API that it has to return all of the keys that it has for this particular record. ID is used when we know which particular record we would like to retrieve from the cloud. So we need to know its ID number in order to get it from the cloud first. In our case, we want to get multiple records, so we don't need to provide this ID number. And the key parameter is really important here. In order to, it's like a database table where the data is stored. In order to find this table, let's go back to our Kenzap Cloud dashboard. And here under My Data extension, I will click on Explore link. Here's basically the data representation and how it is structured and stored in the cloud. In our case, we are referring to MyTicket extension. that all its functionality relies on these 6 tables or sub-databases. The bookings are actually stored in MyTicket order database, and MyTicket booking database is actually used for storing individual seat reservations. So in case your users were booking your events with seat reservations, so seat reservations are moved to a separate database, which is called MyTicket booking. So in this example, we will simply use MyTicket order. I can also click on this bubble to see this data here, and when I click on the record of the data, it actually provides me all the structure the way it is stored in the database. Okay, now we know our key is called MyTicket order. I go back to the Postman application, and here I type MyTicket order. I save my query, and I click on send. Alright, just one small mistake here. I need to actually close my query and make sure it starts and ends with the curly bracket. Let's try again. Okay, now it works. And I have exactly 5 records of my bookings returned to me with all of the fields that are stored in a database. That's cool. Now I can use this data for other integrations, or I can also rely on this data to modify or update some records directly in the Kenzap Cloud MyTicket database. Let's copy our query. I'm clicking on duplicate, and I will call it update bookings. All this information that is provided in authorization tab remains the same, but for the body parameter, we need to update some data here. And when you see the type, instead of find, you need to type update. Well, you can actually refer back to the developer.kenzap.cloud API documentation and find update query available parameters here. So we need to provide ID and data. These are mandatory in order to make sure that update operation is successful. I'm removing my limit and the fields. Okay, let's go back to our find bookings results to get the actual ID of the record. So the record I would like to modify is 100006. This ID is used in the cloud. So let's say when I go back to Kenzap MyTicket dashboard, go to bookings, I can see the second row actually is responsible for this record that has 1, multiple zeros, 6 ID number. However, for the database purpose, we use different ID, the one that has underscores. So let me scroll a little bit down till I find my ID that contains underscore and then ID. So here's the actual ID that is used for database reference. I'm copying this ID number. I go back to update bookings, and I'm simply copying it here. And now for data, let's go back to find bookings again. And I would like to update the title of this booking, the title of the event that is stored for this particular booking. I'm simply copying this record. I go back to update bookings. I open brackets, and I'm pasting my data. So the API will automatically understand that I would like to update only one particular key that has the value of Friday Cherry and all the string that is stored here. Other keys and values will not be updated unless I'm providing them in the API query. And let's change our Friday record to Saturday. I click on Send Query, and the query is successful. Now let's check if the data was updated in the Kenzap Cloud dashboard. So here you see my old page preview. I'm simply refreshing the page right now. And what you can see is that actual title for this event is changed from Friday to Saturday. In such a way, you can customize every single part of the data that is stored in the Kenzap Cloud for any table that MyTicket extension relies on. So feel free to share what application you actually would like to use the API queries for, and in case you have any questions, just feel free to ask them through the comment section below. Thank you for watching. See you again in the next video episodes.